Max Verstappen has sent shockwaves rippling through the Formula One paddock with his ruthless remarks about McLaren's management of their driver situation. After taking pole position for the sprint race at the United States Grand Prix, the Red Bull star claimed that McLaren's well-known Papaya Rules wouldn't even be an issue if he were behind the wheel for them. According to Verstappen, the reason is simple. He'd outperform his teammate by such a wide margin that team orders wouldn't even come into play. "If I was driving for McLaren, we probably wouldn't be that close in points anyway," he said, laughing. That remark was a clear dig at both Lando Norris and Piastri, implying that neither of them are anywhere near his level. Verstappen backed up his bold words with action on Friday at the Circuit of the Americas. He secured pole position for Saturday's sprint race with a blistering lap of 1 minute 32.143 seconds, just 0.071 seconds faster than Norris. Piastri followed closely in third, 0.38 seconds behind the Red Bull driver. The narrow margins highlighted just how tight the competition is, yet Verstappen's comments made it clear he believes the gap would be far wider if he were in a McLaren. The timing of his remarks couldn't be more interesting. McLaren is under immense scrutiny for how they've handled the ongoing title battle between Norris and Piastri. With only 22 points separating the two and 6 races left in the season, the internal rivalry has sparked endless debate about team orders, equality, and whether McLaren secretly favours one driver over the other. Verstappen believes the team brought this problem upon themselves. "They kind of created this situation by trying too hard to keep everything perfectly equal," he told Dutch media in Austin. His viewpoint is straightforward. If one driver was clearly superior, none of these management headaches would exist. The Red Bull driver didn't hold back in his criticism of McLaren's approach. He argued that striving for perfect fairness between two drivers is unrealistic and often causes more chaos than it fixes. "A championship is never 100% fair when you think about certain moments," Verstappen explained. "Sometimes you have a slow pit stop, sometimes the engine fails you can't control or balance that out. This philosophy is totally different from McLaren's." The Papaya squad has worked tirelessly to give both drivers equal chances and identical treatment. At times, they've ordered position swaps mid-race. At others, they've refused to interfere, but no matter what route they take, one driver always ends up frustrated. Verstappen sees this as evidence that McLaren's system simply doesn't function. "It's extremely hard to manage, and at times it just leads to unhappy faces," he said. His argument is clear. McLaren's obsession with controlling every variable has backfired completely. They get criticised for stepping in and equally criticised when they don't. The team has boxed themselves into an impossible situation. When asked if he'd ever tolerate the type of management McLaren uses, Verstappen laughed again. "No," he said flatly, "but then we probably wouldn't be that close in points anyway." His meaning was unmistakable. He believes he'd be so much faster than any teammate that team management wouldn't even be needed. Things got even more intriguing when Verstappen brought up his father, Jos. During the press conference in Austin, Max suggested that Jos would make an excellent team principal given his no-nonsense and brutally direct personality. The comment raised a few eyebrows in the paddock, but Max doubled down on his belief. "I actually think it's good when people get a kick in the arse sometimes," Verstappen said. "I think my dad would make a great team boss in F1. I'm 100% sure he'd do well." When reporters jokingly asked how Jos would handle McLaren's Papaya Rules situation, Max's reply was priceless. "There wouldn't be any rules at all," he laughed. "You'd just put your right foot down. I know exactly what my dad's like." That statement perfectly sums up Verstappen's mindset. For him, racing should be straightforward, the fastest driver wins, and there's no need for politics or overthinking. Jos Verstappen, in his view, would take the same stance. Scrap all the management systems and just let the drivers fight it out on track. It's the complete opposite of McLaren's methodical and cautious strategy when dealing with their lineup. Of course, Jos has no desire to actually become a team principal. He doesn't want to spend that much time travelling, but the fact that Max even mentioned it shows how deeply he feels about how teams should be run. McLaren's drivers have since responded, though not directly addressing Verstappen's remarks. Lando Norris insists the entire Papaya Rules narrative is exaggerated. "I think that's just what people think from the outside," Norris said. "Inside the team, it's simple, there's not much to it. People love to talk about it and bring it up all the time, but in reality, it's a very small thing." Norris also defended McLaren's philosophy as being more effective than their rivals. "Andrea, Oscar and I, we're all confident our approach is better than others," he said. The message was crystal clear. McLaren believes their system works, regardless of what anyone outside thinks. This whole discussion about team philosophies comes at a vital point in the championship. Verstappen trails Piastri by 63 points with 6 rounds to go. It's a big deficit, but not impossible to overturn, especially with 3 sprint weekends still offering extra points. Red Bull's recent upgrades have made Verstappen a genuine contender again, turning him into a real threat for both McLaren drivers. And this is exactly where McLaren's internal rivalry could backfire. Verstappen is racing solo, with Red Bull's full support behind him, while McLaren has to manage 2 drivers both hungry for glory. When asked if McLaren's issues give him a championship advantage, Verstappen partially agreed, but noted that Red Bull missed a huge opportunity in Singapore right when McLaren's internal drama was peaking. "We didn't score enough points there," he admitted. The takeaway he needs to take full advantage whenever McLaren slips up again. Verstappen's confidence after securing sprint pole was telling. He's not just talking about being faster than the McLaren pair, he's proving it on the circuit. The margins in qualifying may have been slim, but Verstappen was still the man to beat when it mattered. If he keeps up this level of performance for the remaining 6 races, his claims about dominating at McLaren might not sound so far-fetched after all. The psychological side of his comments can't be ignored either. Verstappen is clearly trying to mess with McLaren's mindset, hinting that their entire system is flawed and that neither of their drivers can match him. This mental warfare is something Verstappen is known for. He's deliberately sowing seeds of doubt inside McLaren at exactly the wrong time for them. Red Bull's strategy, on the other hand, couldn't be more different. Their full attention is on Verstappen, no team orders or unnecessary politics involved. When one driver is clearly the top performer, managing the team becomes much easier. That's the essence of Verstappen's point. McLaren's complications only exist because Norris and Piastri are too evenly matched. If one driver stood clearly above the other the way Verstappen does at Red Bull, McLaren wouldn't need any of these rules or special systems. They could simply throw their full support behind their lead driver and chase wins. Whether Verstappen's take is right or wrong, his words have definitely added another layer of intrigue to an already fiery title fight. Now McLaren finds itself battling not only internal tension but also public ridicule from its main rival. Verstappen is openly mocking their structure, suggesting the whole thing is fundamentally broken. The next 6 races will reveal which method truly pays off: McLaren's carefully balanced 2-driver policy or Red Bull's total faith in one dominant racer. Verstappen's stance couldn't be clearer. He believes McLaren's making things unnecessarily complex and that simplicity would fix everything. For now, Verstappen holds all the momentum. Saturday's sprint will be the first true test of whether his words carry weight. If he wins while the McLaren drivers end up fighting each other, his argument will be perfectly proven. This championship fight has now evolved beyond speed and tactics. It's become a battle of team philosophies. Verstappen and Red Bull represent one vision, McLaren another. The world will soon find out which mindset ultimately produces the next Formula One world champion. And that wraps up the latest drama from the United States Grand Prix weekend. What's your take? Is Verstappen right about McLaren's system being flawed, or is he just playing mind games? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another F1 update. And for those who want to support the channel even more, consider joining our membership for exclusive content, early uploads and deeper race analysis.